Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Bhagavad Gita chapter 2 verse 11 to 20 meaning. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Ashocyananvashocastvam Pragyavadamsha cha bhashase Gatasuna gatasamscha Nanushocanti panditaha. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha, the Supreme Lord said, Ashocyan, it is not worthy of grief. Anvashochaha, which means mourning. Pragyavadan, which is wisdom. Bhashase, which is speaking. So who is speaking words of wisdom? Arjuna is speaking words of wisdom but is also mourning. So, Lord Krishna is saying it is not worth mourning. In this verse, Sri Krishna actually initiates a discourse with Arjuna with a dramatic opening statement. Arjuna is lamenting and he is grieving for what he feels as valid reasons. But rather than accepting to what he is saying, Sri Krishna takes the wind out of his arguments. He says, Arjuna, though you feel that you are speaking words of wisdom, you are actually speaking and acting out of ignorance. He says the Pandits who are wise, they never lament, they never worry, neither for the living nor for the dead. So therefore, whatever may come, complete surrender to God is the most important thing. Simply do the duty and in all situations without being affected by the outcomes. So people who are not affected by the outcomes, they never worry, they never lament, and they accept whatever comes in their life, whatever circumstances that comes in our life as God's grace. Shlokam 12. Vivaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. In our Vedic tradition, we all know that whenever the divine knowledge is imparted, it usually starts with the knowledge of the self. So in this verse, what Sri Krishna is trying to say is, he's explaining that the entity that we call the self is really the soul, not the material body, and is eternal, just as God himself is eternal. Shlokam 13. Dehi nosmin yatha dehe Kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptihi dhirastatra na muhyati. Just like the embodied soul continuously passes from childhood to youth to old age, similarly at the time of death, the soul also passes into another body. The wise are not deluded by this. With this beautiful immaculate logic, Sri Krishna establishes the principle of transmigration of the soul from lifetime to lifetime. He explains that in one lifetime itself we change, our body changes from childhood to youth to maturity and then to old age. In this verse, the word deha means the body and dehi means possessor of the body, which is the soul. So in this verse, Sri Krishna is drawing Arjuna's attention to the fact that body is constantly changing in one lifetime itself and the soul passes through many bodies. So actually what we call as death in our worldly parlance is the soul discarding its old dysfunctional body, and what we call as birth is the soul taking on a new body elsewhere. This is the principle of reincarnation. Shlokam 14. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agamapayino nityaha stam stitikshasva bharata. Sri Lord Krishna continues to talk to Arjuna. O son of Kunti, the contact between the senses and the sense objects gives rise to fleeting perceptions of happiness and distress. These are non-permanent and come and go like the winter and summer seasons. O descendant of Bharata, one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Here Sri Krishna is saying that the human body has five senses, the sense of sight, smell, taste, touch and hearing. And these, when they come in contact with objects of perception, they give rise to sensation of happiness and disappointment. None of these sensations are permanent. If we permit ourselves to be affected by them, we will always be swaying like a pendulum from side to side. A person who has wisdom should practice to tolerate both the feelings of happiness and disappointment without being affected. Shlokam 15. Yam hina vyathayant yete purusham purusharshabha samadukha sukham dhiram somritattvaya kalpate. Sri Krishna continues to express the importance of understanding this wisdom. O Arjuna, noblest amongst men, that person who is not affected by happiness or by disappointment and remains steady at all times becomes eligible for moksha, liberation. So if we should remain stable at all times, there are two important questions that come in our mind. Why do we aspire for happiness? Why doesn't material happiness satisfy us? The answer to the first question is very simple. God is an ocean of infinite bliss, and we souls, our souls are his tiny parts. So this basically means that we are tiny fragments of an infinite ocean of bliss. That is why we always seek happiness. Now let us try to understand the answer to the second question. The soul is a tiny part of God which is divine in nature and is God himself. So the happiness the soul seeks is also divine. That happiness should be infinite, it should be permanent and should be ever fresh. It is only described as the happiness of God, Sachidananda Rupam. But the experience of happiness that we have with contact of senses is very temporary. It is finite and it is not fresh. That is why it is always good to avoid material happiness. In the same way, we should also tolerate disappointments. Only then we can rise above these dualities and material energy will no longer bind us. Shlokam 16. Nasato vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate satah ubhayorapi drishtontah stvanayosthattvadarshibihi. Anything which is temporary, anything which is transient, there is no endurance, which means there is no tolerance. And on the other side of the coin, anything which is internal, which is permanent, there is no cessation, which means there is no end. This has been observed by many people, many seers, many pundits of the truth, after they studied the nature of both. Shlokam 17. Avinashi tu tad vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinashamavyyasyasya na kaschit kartumarhati. In this verse, Sri Krishna establishes the relationship between the body and the soul by saying that the soul pervades the body. And he says no one can cause the destruction of the imperishable soul. This means the soul possesses consciousness, but the body is devoid of consciousness. However, the soul passes on the quality of consciousness to the body as well by residing in it. Therefore, the soul pervades the body by spreading its consciousness everywhere in it. Lokam 18. Antavanta ime deha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmadyudhyasva bharata. The gross body is actually made from mud. It is mud that gets converted to vegetables, fruits, grains, lentils and grass. Cows graze the grass and produce milk. We humans consume these edibles and they transform into our body. So it is not an exaggeration to say that the body is created from mud. Only the material body is perishable. The embodied soul within is indestructible, immeasurable and eternal. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata, says Lord Krishna. At the time of death, when the soul departs, the body can have one of the three ends. Either it is burnt, or it is buried, or thrown into the river. In all the three cases, it goes back to the mud. In this manner, the mud undergoes a beautiful, amazing cycle in the world. It gets transformed into edibles. Bodies are made from these edibles, and the bodies return back into the mud of the earth. Shlokam 19. Ya enam veti hantaram yaschenam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. The one who thinks the soul can be slayed or killed, and the one who thinks the soul can be slain, both of them do not possess any knowledge. For truly the soul neither kills nor can it be killed. In this present situation, what is appropriate for Arjun? Whether violence or non-violence, which means should he kill or not kill, and why? This Sri Krishna will explain in detail as the dialogue of the Bhagavad Gita progresses. Shlokam 20. Na jayate miyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityashashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The soul is neither born nor does it ever die, nor having once existed does it ever cease to be. The soul is without birth, eternal, immortal, and ageless. It is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. The soul is glorious, unborn, deathless, free from old age, immortal, and fearless.